Hi, it's Rebecca again, and we're going to cover how to print from InDesign to one of the three printers, either black and white color or color. And we're also going to print double-sided through a print booklet feature in InDesign. You'll see here I have the kind of a rough mock-up of a book. Let me zoom out. It's not designed completely yet, but this is a 20-page book. You might assume it's 18, but we actually have the first two pages numbered A and B, and page 1 doesn't start till the third page in. So there are actually 20 pages. When you're printing a book in this fashion, they need to be the page count needs to be divisible by 4, and there are 20 physical pages that is divisible by 4, so we will be able to get a good book out of this. Now, in order to print, I will have had to have loaded print drivers. That's on a previous video. You will see that in my system preferences, in print and scan, those drivers are loaded. I have the black and white printer, which is HP LaserJet 8150. I have the color printer, which is the one we've had for a while, which is the Xerox Phaser 7400. And I also have a new color printer here, which is the Xerox Phaser 7800. That's our brand new one. So those printer drivers are already loaded and the duplex option has been selected. So I'm ready to print. Now when you go to print, you don't just simply go to File and Print. That's not correct in this case. In this case we go to File and Print Booklet. And when you do the Print Booklet feature, what it's going to do when you hit Preview, you'll see that pages will be out of order. Page 16 is next to page 1, and back cover is next to front cover, and so on. So that seems unusual, but it's actually the right printing order so that when we bind these pages together, fold them and bind them, they'll end up being in the correct order. Now, I do notice in the preview that the paper size I'm using is not big enough. So in order to change the settings, which you all will have to do, first I'm going to go back to Setup. One of the things we want to do is we want to go ahead and set our bleeds at 0.125 inches. Click on the lock to link them together. We're assuming we're doing just a self cover, a saddle stitched book, which is staples. So we're not doing a hardbound book in this demonstration. So we don't have to really worry about setting our bleeds too big. Now, if you do have some blank pages, you do want to check Print Blank Printer Spreads. Sometimes people will put blank pages in a book. You do want those to be in there. Again, I hit on Preview and click on Preview, and it's still red. Now I will change my print settings and page setups through print settings. And so I hit print setting and I get the print window that comes up. Now right now I will print to the black and white printer because this is a draft. I'm just looking at type. Don't waste color toner by printing to color printers. It's just way too expensive when you're at this early state in a draft. Now we'll automatically print spreads, so I don't have to check spreads. But I might have to, print non-blank or print blank pages. Do not check print non-printing objects, and do not check print visible guides and baseline grids. You'll get odd things on there that you don't want. So in setup, I did check the printer, and I did check print blank pages in the general area. Now I'm going to move to the setup area, which is over here on the left-hand area. It says general, then setup. I'm going to click on that. Now I'm going to end up having to print to tabloid or tabloid extra. So the black and white printer will do tabloid. I don't think it'll do tabloid extra, so I'm just going to start with tabloid. So I choose paper size as tabloid. Now if tabloid is missing, you can add a paper size by clicking on custom, there's another way. Custom's not the best way, so ignore what I just said, but we'll just go to tabloid since it's there. I'll cover that in a later video. So tabloid, I definitely don't want to scale it to fit. I want this 100% of the size, but I do want to look down here in options where it says page position, upper left. You don't want it on upper left, you want it on centered. If you don't have it centered, it will not print properly and register front and back. You'll have one page on one side way off to the left, and then the other side will be way off to the right, seemingly, when you look through the paper. So we're going to choose centered. And that's really all I need to change there. So I'm going to move on to the next item over in the left corner. I'm going to click on marks and bleeds. You definitely want crop marks. I do like registration marks because it puts a registration mark dead center of the page. So when I'm folding two pages, I can rely on that registration mark because I can score along that registration mark and fold those pages and it'll be perfectly centered. Now in bleed and slug, you want to uncheck use document bleed settings and you want to go ahead and put in 1/8 of an inch there. 0.125 is 1/8 of an inch. You don't want slug area. Everything else you do not want. You don't want all this extra information. It might start creeping into your layout. And when you go to cut things out, you may have certain things like color bar showing, and you really don't want that. Now, as far as the area over here on the left, general, setup, marks and bleeds, output, we're pretty much done with all that. Now we're going to move on to the lower left-hand corner where it says page setup. We're going to check this. We're going to click on it. We're going to hit OK on the warning. We're going to check to make sure where it says Format 4, it says black and white printer. Making sure your printer drivers are loaded before you do this. If it says any printer, that's bad. You won't get double-sided, you won't get certain things. So make sure the Format 4, your printer, is the printer you're actually printing to, and in this case we're printing to black and white printer. I am printing tabloid. Okay, I really didn't have to change anything here. It's all following suit. So I hit OK. The last place I'm going to go and check to make sure things are looking okay is down near the lower left-hand corner, the word printer, that button. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click OK on the warning. And oh my goodness, it doesn't, two-sided. You definitely want that on. But before we click on two-sided, we want to click on show details so we can see what kind of picture it's going to give us here in the middle left area. Now where it says two-sided, not up near copies, but down here where it says two-sided off, you can change that to either long edge or short edge binding. Now I'm not so much concerned with the verbiage used here. What I am concerned with is this picture. If the picture shows the binding at the top, this is calendar style. Calendar style binding means when the printer prints out the page, it will print it out upside down on one side and right side up on the other. So just make sure your picture is not calendar style unless you're making a calendar style book. So I'm going to choose the other option. In this case, it's long edge binding. In your case, it may be short edge binding. Depends on if you have a horizontal or vertical book, a portrait or landscape book. Either way, it does. Just don't even pay attention to those words other than clicking on them to see which one gives you the binding on the left. This does not print upside down on the other side. It prints right side up. Now, some people get confused and they think that pages per sheet should change to 2. Do not do that. It will literally put page 1 and 2 on the front of one of the pages. So just leave that at 1. You'll really mess yourself up there. It will automatically print the pages that it needs to have on those sheets. So we're going to go ahead and hit print on this. Now, it does say toner is low, so we might get an error when we're printing. But I will hit print, and it's not going to print yet. This is more or less an OK button because the print button is in the next window. I will review to make sure everything is set properly before I hit OK on this window. I just double check my work. Okay, everything looks good. I'm just making sure things are what I had said they were. I hit OK. And you'll see that the preview has changed quite a bit. Now, if you need to, you can rotate your book. If you're doing more of a horizontal book or a landscape book, if you see red in the gray areas, you may have to go back to print settings, and you may have to go to setup, and you may have to change the orientation to landscape instead of portrait and hit OK. Now, my book design just happens to work either way, so I'm in good shape. Now, as soon as I hit print, what will happen is, if I have any warnings, now this is bad. We all know that we don't want missing graphics, so normally I would not hit OK. I would check the links. Now, for demonstration purposes at the moment, I'm just going to hit OK, but we know this is not something we hit OK at. And right now it's downloading all of the pages and it's printing it to the HP LaserJet 8150. Now, it will come up on the dock and then it will disappear, but right now it's got a little warning, so I'm going to click on it. And what it tells me that it is, tells me that the printer may be out of toner, the paper tray is almost empty, and the spooling is 8% complete. Now, it does say the printer may be out of toner. That doesn't mean that it is. So I'm going to have to get up out of my chair, and I'm going to have to run over there and see if we actually have a problem with the printer. Now, spooling being 8% complete, that means it's going through and it's processing the data right now. That could take a while. But conceivably, if the printer had plenty of toner and the paper tray had a tabloid, plenty of tabloid paper in there, this, oh, there's spooling, this would spool and it would come out just fine double-sided. Now this concludes printing double-sided to the HP LaserJet 8150 black and white printer.